Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome back to e-rev TV. My name is Eric Wansapal. I'm going to be your host for the night here, and we're gonna kick it back here a little bit. We're gonna go do some more Call of Duty Black Ops roundtable action here. We haven't done this for, gosh, I want to say maybe almost 2 months here. So it's been a while. I've been slacking, and really there's been a lot going on that we need to catch up on. So we're gonna show you guys a list of topics that we're gonna be talking about tonight. And we'll get things underway here very, very shortly. But, of course, as we always do with all of our roundtables, we're going to go ahead and introduce our panelists for the night. We're going to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 with us tonight. Normally we've had like 2 or 3, so good to see this many people showing up. So you guys all know who I am. If you don't know who I am, then you guys can figure that out elsewhere. I'm here to give the others the opportunity to voice their opinions, people that actually have a lot to do with this community. So starting off, Ted, Mr. Sang Adi is going to be here. So Ted, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll go on down the line here.
Yeah, hi everyone. Ted Sang Adi. I really don't think I, like you, if you don't know who I am, that's probably a shame for you.
You've been here.
You probably haven't been listening. I produce my own sort of roundtable show, Bravo 6 TV, along with Ian. We do it weekly. We are trying to do it weekly. We've been having to move it around. But, yeah, I produce all sorts of Call of Duty content. So that's me.
Okay, and in-house here from e-rev Network is going to be Ibex. He's doing a lot of good things in the writing department here. So Ibex, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, what's up? Yep, Zach, Ibex Morris here. Right now I'm the chief editing and writing officer for e-rev, so just going to voice my opinion here.
All right. Make sure you guys check out the news on the front page there. Ibex doing a lot of stuff for us. And now, somebody that is completely new to the program here from CEVO is going to be Charlie Plitt. So why don't you go ahead and give everybody a little bit of information. Again, if you guys don't know who this guy is, then again, you've probably been in the dark. But first time on the program. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Glad to be here. Thank you. Charlie Plitt, president of CEVO. First time participant, but hope to do this many more times. I used to do it in the past on a regular basis and enjoyed it a whole lot, so I look forward to it.
All right. I think you did it back in the TSN days.
Yeah, that would be correct.
Oh, the glory days. Well, yeah, I look forward to having you on the show more here. So, and last but definitely not least, Mr. Bamf himself, Ian Tannehill, is here. So, and Ian, what's going on?
Oh, same stuff, different night. So it's sad that I'm recognized for Banff more than CEVO, but those of you who don't know me, I'm the head of game for Call of Duty for CEVO.
Well, I think probably just as many people recognize you both ways. Both prestigious in their own right there. So we're going to get underway here, and as always, guys, with the program goes, I'm going to talk over people to make sure we get where we need to go, and I'm going to direct questions. For those of you listening, if you guys want to hear a certain person answer a question, you can get to me in IRC. I'm actually on this time in IRC. I'm pound E-rev on the Game Surge Network. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, or if you would like a specific panelist to field a question, then ask me, and I will ask them throughout the show. And again, we're going to keep to some time restraints here. So to get things underway here, the first question is going to be sort of just a bounce pass to you all here. We'll go with Sang on this one first, as he has been here for each and every roundtable that we've had. Where were we 2 months ago, and where are we now? What progress have we made in those 2 months for Black Ops? And and as you guys can see on the topics, 2 months ago, where were we, and what progress have we made to where we are right now? Sang.
Well, I would say that, at least I hope, we can say that we finally figured out a game type, and that would be search and destroy. We originally were exploring a lot of game types, 2 months ago, and I think it's pretty much set that, we're going to do search and destroy. And I think we do have a general mold as to how we want the game played competitively, which, we would have liked to seen this a little bit sooner. But at least we're getting there. It's not a 100%, set unified rule set yet, but it's getting there. I think that's really the furthest we've gotten, and the start of the leagues, really.
All right, and we're not going to jump ahead too far here, but speaking of leagues, we are going to cover what's going on at CEVO as far as the leagues and also the CTF tournament and sort of the mix that we sort of have going there coming from CEVO. So, from the CEVO perspective, Ian and Charlie, whichever one of you guys want to jump in on this, from the league standpoint, I'm going to pick on you guys about that because, of course, you both have the most experience when it's related to that of everybody here. Where have we come? You guys ran the Zowie Alpha Cup, I think is what Alpha Tournament is what it was, and we did a lot of coverage in that. Where have we come in terms of league and tournament play as far as Black Ops comes, and sort of take us through that process.
You want to get that?
No, you can go ahead, and I'll chime in a second.
Like I said, basically we like you said, we had the Zowie Alpha Tourney, which I don't know what Charlie thinks, but I think it ran very well. Full list of teams going. Everybody besides us have been kind of running cups and kind of dabbling, and I came to Charlie, I want to say last week, and said, look, everybody wants leagues. It's time to capitalize on it. Let's go. So, I'm a big CTF fan, but it's kind of obvious that S&D was the way to go. So I basically asked Charlie, and we just hit it up, and we've got our league signups now. So.
I mean, I think personally from...
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, from my end of things, I think that any time we launch a new game, and I think that Call of Duty, unfortunately, every time they come out with a new update, it's a new game. For some reason, they just can't get it they can't get it right. But I would say that every time we launch a new game, we find ourselves in that rhetorical position again of, okay, let's wait and see what they come up with. Let's see how flawed things are going to be, or how many patches are needed, and then you fight along the way trying to find out, of course, like Ted said and like Ian said, what's the best game type, where is it that it's going to be the most enjoyable for the community, and also at the same point in time, where can we come up with the most competitive environment for that community? And I think early off when Call of Duty Black Ops came out, you saw a lot of different companies or organizations come out with, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I remember Ian coming to me saying, "No, you got to hurry up, and my response was, "I'm not hurrying." After Modern Warfare 2 popped up, I mean, I started laughing. I'm like, we need to sit back and relax for a second. We need to see where we stand and analyze this and make some educated decisions based on how things are a month after the game is launched, and live there. And I think that's where we are now. So 2 months out, I'm happy. I agree with Ian. The first event went well. It was an enjoyable event. I was glad to see the amount of teams that showed up for it, and I'm looking forward to the season for Search and Destroy, and I'm also looking forward to the Capture the Flag tourney. I think that's going to be interesting. We've never had two things or two simultaneous events running for Call of Duty before in two different formats. So this is a little bit of a leap of faith, and hopefully it works out.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and that was actually moving towards our next point here, as we're kind of rattling things off right here. And again, if any of the panelists have anything that they want to, anybody, if you guys have anything you guys want to say about any of the topics flying by here, just let me know and we'll revisit. It's not a big deal. This is all open forum stuff here. Remind everybody listening in, if you guys want to get at me on IRC, Eric in the E-Rev and the Game Surge network, you guys have a question for any of the panelists, let me know. This is live, not recorded like we did before. But okay, so moving on to what Charlie just brought up and Ian touched on in the next point on our topic here, the Search and Destroy versus CTF. Ian kept it kind of short with the statement that SD was the way to go to perhaps bring in new blood, as that's another item we have on our list here. Do you think this will bring people perhaps back from the brink of going back to COD 4, back to COD 2? I mean, these things that I think are just awful ideas for Call of Duty competitively. Do you think a Search and Destroy league here will help bring people back to Black Ops?
I do. I hope so. I don't know if you've been paying attention. I actually had somebody said to me kind of joking the other day, say, hey man, once you announce your league stuff, that COD 4 stuff just kind of went out the window. And I don't know if it's necessarily the announcing the S&D, but announcing leagues in general, because like I said before to you and to everyone else here, that people are just kind of on tournaments right now because we've had enough. So as for the turning point for me, I guess when we were barely able to, and not just, I mean, our events have gone pretty smoothly, but like, I hate to bash anybody, but when you look at ESL's events and they barely are able to fill up teams for a CTF event, or just, I guess, the amount of forfeits we've had in Alienware. So I mean, I'm probably giving Charlie a headache right now. It's like, oh no, but just looking at the teams in general, Ibex said something along the lines we only had 20 teams. I think that's incorrect. I think it's more of we do have the teams, but we only have 20 to maybe 30 that are, of that different level, another scale of how good they are out there. And I think in SD you see a lot more teams, being able to actually play, and they're sticking to it. SD has always been what COD is about. So yeah, I think it just made sense to be the wiser move.
Okay. And I would agree with that. Just I'll scoot my own opinion here a little bit. I said from a while back after, I felt like the spawns were broken in CTF, and I don't want to kick a dead dog, which is basically what I would be doing there. But I said that I would support Search and Destroy if, we fix the sound with, the plant noises and that stuff like that. I would back it 100%. But here we are, 2 months later from when we actually talked about that, and we've turned the corner here to go to Search and Destroy. And and Ted, we talked early on about how Call of Duty was not Counter-Strike and all that thing. That goes clear back to Call of Duty 2, But here we are with Search and Destroy, and I think that this will potentially bring back people from the COD series that went to COD 4, went to COD 2. I think maybe it'll bring them back, especially if there's money in it, which is here now with this league season here. So. Ted, what are your thoughts on the effects of Search and Destroy coming in this late in the game when we're we're not that far off from next November where we have another COD launch coming. So, is Search and Destroy enough to sort of sustain this game here? Is this going to bring things back to the forefront here as far as Black Ops being on top of the COD competitive scene rather than the previous version?
I think it's possible. One of the things that we talked about on my show, the last episode of my show, was that we need to get the teams from TWL and Modern Warfare 2 tournaments competing in CEVO and these other leagues, because there is a lot. I mean, when you look at the community that sits around, CODsource.com, there is a lot more teams playing Search and Destroy rather than just what's there. I mean, there is a lot more. If you look at the TWL ladders, I think the ladder has like 80-some teams signed up or something like that. Modern Warfare 2 Tournaments.com, they have a huge following of just basically really loyal teams that consistently play in their events. And, if we can transfer them over to CEVO and Cyber Gamer and I guess the more professional leagues, then yeah, I think we could have I guess a pretty robust competitive scene. But if we don't do that, if we can't get some transference, I really do think that the community could possibly be in trouble, because I don't think the 150 gamers on COD Source is going to be enough.
Right. So, it is not enough, and of course, this is a super popular game, pub community-wise, and also at places like TWL and Modern Warfare 2 tournaments and all that kind of things. There are more people playing this game than, at least from and I'm almost ashamed to say it, from an e-rev standpoint, that I know nothing about. I know nothing about those teams because, they aren't associated with the competitive core that I have been around for Call of Duty. Now, my background comes from Call of Duty, so I know who these people are. I know these teams. I know that, they were good in previous versions of the COD game and all that kind of stuff. But it really hasn't panned out here. Into Black Ops, at least, we haven't seen that explosion that we saw in COD 4. I wasn't actually there in the beginning of COD 2, but COD 2 towards the end was, it was just an awesome game, and we had a ridiculous amount of teams playing in all the leagues. So that all speaks for itself. So moving on to the lack of, or I guess further iterating on the lack of new blood into the community here. So I mean, with CEVO here, you guys have launched the CTF tournament and you have launched the Search and Destroy League here. Now, between Charlie and Ian here, I mean, did you guys have any concern about splitting the community? But I mean, I realize that even if you split the community, they're both coming to you guys in the sense that there's a CTF tournament and there's a Search and Destroy league going on. But obviously, Search and Destroy getting the amount of money it did for the league, which is fantastic. And that's going to draw in more teams there for that, hopefully anyway, for that. What kind of response have you guys seen thus far as getting people signed up or the interest in the tournaments, all that kind of stuff? And, how did, we talked about you guys bringing CTF and SD, but, are you guys, where's the decision going to be made whether you're only going to support Search and Destroy, you're only going to support CTF?
I guess that's an interesting question. Like I said before, I think that the CTF, we'll see how it goes. It had some popularity in the Alpha tournament, which was good, and hopefully it continues the popularity. I hope that if we can continue to run it in a tournament format in conjunction with the SD League, it'd be nice. I mean, we're not putting a lot of money on the line for it. We're not asking for a lot of money for the teams and individuals to enter to get into it. So hopefully, we look at it in the sense that people are going to take it serious, but take it more casual too and enjoy it. To see who, and it's. I keep saying it's a King of the Hill format, and Ian keeps yelling at me saying that's a game type, but I'm just old that way, I guess. But it's in that format. So, I mean, we're going to see, who's the best of the best for, this tournament. And then, hopefully it goes well and we'll do it again. And hopefully it doesn't become a distraction and, segment the community. I agree with, what Ted said earlier that, the community is small, but it's always been small. I don't think in 5+ years that we've been supporting Call of Duty titles that we've ever had more than 150 teams at any single time. And there's been, I think that, religiously you've seen the, that ebb and tide flow where, new game, about 150 teams. A year later, you're down to 75 teams. New title pops and you're back up again. And that's just been the way it's, just been the way that it's been for so many years now. So I guess that's why I'm more personally. I guess that's why I'm more anxious to see how this tournament goes as well, just so you can change the mental flair and the pace of what people are playing every day. Kind of kill the monotony.
Right, and perhaps that's I think anxious may be a word that's sort of floating around the COD community as a whole. When we think about it, as far as the sort of I wouldn't call it a mild lack of success in Black Ops. I mean, it has been, from what we all hoped and dreamed and wanted it to be, it was not, or at least in numbers wise. And that's speaking strictly from a casting standpoint. I mean, I was geared up, man. I was ready to go. Get back to that peak viewership that we saw during the peak of COD 4, and it just never happened. The community was not there, and we need to build that. So I think there's an anxious feeling, and I think everybody that's in here has probably felt that as far as where's the COD community going from here, and what can we do to further it. So I mean, and that's a whole other animal there. So back into the list here, so we can at least get the stuff out of the way that we wanted to talk about, and then we can get back to some things that we wanted to add into that. Ibex, we'll go back to you here, especially since you totally got cut off by the StarCraft 2 cast there. So we've moved through the new blood in the community, and we'll come into Search and Destroy probably becoming the feature game type for this game. Whether CTF survives as an offshoot of that, I don't know. Maybe it did in COD 2, but I don't. Again, the community was much larger there than it is now. We still do not have mod tools. We don't have any idea when mod tools are going to be released. But with Search and Destroy right now, there are some there's some issues. So what would, and I'll go around to everybody here. If we had mod tools right now, what would you change? What could make Search and Destroy better than what it is right now?
Right off the bat, take out some of the bugs like already in the game that need to be taken out. The spectate mode for shoutcasters would be nice, where they don't have to, switch between teams and then back to spectate to shoutcast. One of the actually interesting things that I noticed on the just scrimming it earlier today, I used I scrimmed on the new Pro mod for COD 4 that Europe came out with, and they have this shoutcast menu now built into the spectate where you can bind keys to switch between players. So that's a cool feature that they added in that could be used. There's an abundance of things that we need mod tools for that we just we can't do anything about right now because we're dependent upon Treyarch to provide them. So those are the necessary things that I can think of right off the bat.
Well, and that's always, at least on in my frame set, perhaps yours as well, since coming on your e-rev, spectator-friendly games perform better than non-spectator-friendly games. And Ted, you've written brilliant things on your blogs regarding spectator and esports and everything like that, making it easy for people to discern what's going on and all that kind of stuff. It really lets people take a look at the game and decide, hey, this guy's better than that guy, or this team's better than that team, or hey, this game looks fun, I want to play it. But back to the mod tool thing here, Ian, I'm going to come to you here because you actually have a hand in making these rule sets and everything like that with what you can without mod tools. Search and destroy, the rule set that's gone through with CEVO. We posted it up on the e-rev page. It's on the CEVO page. You guys can take a look at it. What are we going with here for search and destroy? What are we looking at basically?
Well, first, you guys have already hit on it from the shoutcasting standpoint. It is annoying having a shoutcast search and destroy because you have to go in, switch teams, and go back every round. So that'd be nice to kill that out. As far as in what mod tools and everything, there's a lot of things I would fix. I would fix the fact that you've got 2 flashes. I put that back to only 1. I'd actually have a working competition mod. It's kind of annoying right now, and I've voiced my opinions to Charlie on this and Jay on, who I give headaches to daily. It's kind of annoying, especially in CTF, not so much in Search and Destroy because we made it bare bones, but having to kind of rely on the honor system if you've got perks or certain guns involved. Like right now, our tournament, I put in that we're having no AUG, no FAMAS, no Stoner, and it's basically just relying on honor system, which, I'm not saying we can't see it in a demo and a dispute and do it, but why
it's a headache for
give them the opportunity to make that dispute? Why not just eliminate it altogether? So it's kind of annoying that we can't customize the things we want, because I think if we could customize things, I might look at putting perks into Search and Destroy, certain things, not everything. I bet everybody in the community said, oh God, what's he thinking? But not only that, it's just besides that, in CTF, I'd be able to fix the spawns. A working timeout mode if someone lagged out. That's I don't know if you've actually had any CTF casts where somebody's died and lagged out, but it kind of basically kills you having to play 45 in CTF. In Search and Destroy, not so much. The fact that in Search and Destroy, you have to, and in Capture Flag too, if you have to basically reset your rules for an overtime. You can't automatically switch into an overtime mode with 4 rounds. That kind of annoys me. So there's little things left and right that I would be able to tweak, and more fine details on our rule set, I think, would be what I would look at.
All right, and that's. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, I was going to say. My perspective on it is this, and I think it stems from 5 years of dealing with, whether it have been IW or Treyarch now. And we've seen it that the game has been developed from being developed as a PC title to being developed as a Xbox title that gets ported to PC. And the amount of detail and the amount of concern that these companies are putting into the PC version has significantly dropped off over the years, and it continues to. And, I think this is something that each of us has to realize and has to appreciate from a business side of things, that, you get these, Treyarch and IW, they're creating the game for, 30 million people. And you got to remember that, 25 million of these people are going to be Xbox gamers. And at that time, there's no updates, there's no changes, it's a disc. You put the disc in, you play the game, and you play it for what it's worth. And of course, we being the vocal, I should say, the vocal minority of the usage of the game, we want all of these tools. And I think that, and I've said this to Ian before too, and I think that some of the things we have to look at besides just evaluating the game at what it's worth, but looking and going, okay, are they really going to come up with the mod tools? Do they really care to? And I think that we need to start assessing the game for what it is and creating rules that force us all to live within what the game comes out with. And I know that's asking a lot, and it's maybe an enormous leap of faith from where we used to be. But knowing that the trend is there, especially with this, with these two game developers, I think if we want to hold our breaths and wait for something better to happen, I think that would perhaps be a little bit short-sighted of us.
Yeah, and that's very well put, man. I mean, to sort of, it's one of those things where it's, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you can't get fooled again. To quote the great President Bush there. This should not probably have been a surprise for us with the way Black Ops was released, and to speak mildly, boldly, I guess I would say that Modern Warfare 2. When it was released, was perhaps, in my opinion, up until that point, that was the single biggest slap in the face to the PC community that I can remember. In the sense
Absolutely.
of a company that we really built the title on PC games for the Call of Duty series, and then we were handed a bag of something that I can't say on air for a game to play competitively. So, and I would agree that perhaps we need to come to terms completely with the fact that we may not get what we want from this point forward because we're a very small share of the market. And I'm going to touch real quickly here on something else that I want. Let's see, who have I heard for? I'm going to throw this one to Ted. This is related to what Charlie just brought up here, and it's a shout out that we got from SLV, and I'll read this real quick here for you guys. Again, you guys can get at me on IRC, Eric, and e-rev on the Game Surge Network if you guys have something you want on air. So from SLV here, he says, how can you take a game seriously when a number of gamers have trouble even running the game? The lack of mod tools at this point in time speaks for itself. I don't see the point of going to a game that taxes computers so much. Top-end systems are struggling to run it smoothly due to subpar coding. There doesn't seem to be any developer-provided fix in sight. Why don't we go to a game we know we can work with and fine-tune? So, Ted, this sort of goes back to the, which game do we go to? Do we take all the old blood and go back to a game that we know is, decent, but we already killed 3 times, and sort of hope for the best? Or do we take a game that, some people are having trouble running with full settings and all that kind of? And that's something that I want to touch on, too, before you go, Ted. I ran the game on a dual core with, a 9500 GT, which is like a $50 graphics card, and I put it on low settings. I could play it. I upgraded my machine. I could play it on full settings, but if I put it on low settings, it runs even better. So I understand everybody's used to getting, 125 FPS or 250 FPS or whatever it is, but sort of to touch on that, we got to take what we're given kind of thing and make the best opportunity possible out of it. So, Ted, your thoughts on that as far as the playability, quote unquote, for the game in the sense of hard.
I think when the first thing you have to do, okay, when you talk about Black Ops and its, I guess, playability or whatever word you want to throw in there, is realize exactly how far we've come. And I'm not saying it's where we are is a good thing, or where we were was a good thing either. But the game may not run as well as we want it to, but for the most part, it runs a whole lot better than it did 2 months ago. So if we recognize that, we can at least show some appreciation for for what the developers have done. Maybe not what we want, but it has gotten better. Not to what we want, but slightly. And to kind of go back to the well, this game doesn't work, so let's go to this game. That has been tried so many times. We've been down this road back and forth. 3-4 times, bring back Call of Duty 1, bring back Call of Duty 2, bring back Call of Duty 4, and to be honest, it's just not going to work. And the reason why it's not going to work is because you're never going to build up the critical mass of gamers who are going to want to play that game. And I know everyone out there is like saying, yes, of course we can. We'll just post a couple threads on some forums and get people playing. I hate to say it, no, you're not. It's just not going to happen. The only way Call of Duty 4 could have stayed alive in North America is if we never switched to Black Ops. If we basically behaved like the Europeans and stuck with Call of Duty 4, picked new maps, and in essence tried to keep the game alive like they're doing, and they've had successful lands in Europe, and done with that. But going back just really isn't an option. There's really no way to do it because there's no community there. There's no core of gamers. We talk about the pub players, the TWL players, the Modern Warfare 2 tournaments players, even the players who play competitively in our leagues that aren't on COD's source. I know that's hard to believe, but yes, they actually exist as well. How are you going to convince them to, guys, let's just go back to Call of Duty 2? It's not going to work. And like I said, we've seen this time and time again. I really have no way to explain anymore how it's just not going to work. Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, I think that there is one way, and I know it for a fact. There's one way to make anybody change, and the answer to that is if you want to throw enough money at it, anybody will change. That. Okay, so if I was to say tomorrow we're going to have a $100,000 Call of Duty 2 tournament, I guarantee you we would have Call of Duty 2 players. They would be crawling out of the woodwork like sap on a pine tree, okay? And that would happen. I think you saw that shift, that paradigm shift, when the Championship Gaming Series came out and said Counter-Strike Source is our game. And you watched that paradigm shift overnight because money was there. So that can happen. However, let's get realistic, okay? And let's look at what we're dealing with. You've got game developers that are putting out millions of dollars in marketing and advertising to promote a game that cost them, tens of millions of dollars to develop, okay? And once that game's pushed, the reality of it is they're already developing the next game. They have, and when you look at these are companies driven by stock market pricing, okay? I mean, that's it. I mean, they're here to make a profit. They're here to make their stock price go up. They're here to generate revenue. And I know that it's very hard to say this, and people are going to go, oh, you're crazy. But I think that when you think esports and you think what we do, and if you know me, you know how passionate I am about it and how much money I've sunk into it. But I think we all need to remember one thing, and that is that esports, those of us, especially in the PC world, we make up less than 1/8 of 1% of every game that is sold by that publisher. 1/8 of 1%. And when you look at it that way, when you look at it that way, and you put that in perspective, anything that they do, okay, let me rephrase that. What they're doing isn't for our benefit. What they're doing is for a technological juggernaut. They're trying to create something to push the limit to the next game type so that when they go out, they can say, look what we developed. Look at the new video engine. Look at the new graphical engine. Look at the new processing engines that we did. It's not about, hey, what's the greatest game type? They're looking to create new trends. They're trying to create the future. And I think that's something that we all have to appreciate as well. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Honestly, if it was me, I enjoy, Black Ops and COD 4, but yeah, we do have to be realistic. There's no way of going back to COD 2 or COD 4. The main reason is, the developers of the game, they're throwing out all these, new graphics cards and all video cards and, processors and all this, and they're not going to support games that ran on older engines, older video cards, because they don't need to, they've got the hardware sponsorships, they've got the money sponsorships, that if they wanted to get involved to help keep a game alive, they're going to sponsor their newest game. So then you're dependent upon leagues, that you're paying, that then we'll get rewards, from them for paying. So then you're in a circle, you're paying and then getting money back from. So you got to go with the game that the developers, just put out, because you can't go back to a game where you're going to have maybe 20, 30 teams, and then when one of those teams decides, I'm done playing, I don't want to play anymore, you're not going to be able to reach out to anyone. So it's slowly dying, regardless of which game you decide to go with. There's going to be those teams, and once those teams decide we're not playing anymore, you're dead, and you can't go forward, because going forward is going to another dead game, because there's going to be 3 or 4 more CODs down the line, and the only reason they're wanting to go back to an older COD is because that's what they feel comfortable with. And that's the only reason they don't want to play Black Ops, is because they felt comfortable. They might not want to fine-tune their skill in Black Ops. They might not be able to play it. They want to go to what they feel comfortable with, and that's the only reason people don't want to play Black Ops.
Well, I think there's a bigger point too, and that is that when you look at let's sit back and reflect on when Call of Duty was real popular and when Call of Duty 2 was really popular. There was an enormous community behind the game itself. There weren't just people that played the game, but there were people that really believed and embellished themselves in that community. Okay, and we can swip back and look at Counter-Strike, for instance. You can go online and go to Google and just type in Counter-Strike, and you've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands and millions of things produced by you, me, other kids in the community, other gamers, and whether it's artwork, movies, screenshots, whether it's desktop imaging or logos. And that was what you used to have with Call of Duty. And this is, as I said before, I used to do, the roundtable show on TSN, and that was when it was at its peak, and it was huge. And I think that, if you want to make a community huge, and you want to move communities in directions, and it gets back to Ted's point too, you got to be able to create a pillar, a beacon of light, something that people want to gravitate to, and that they want to be part of. And if you don't create that pillar and you don't become that beacon, then there's no interest. And if there's no interest, like you said, people dwindle away and the game dies. So if we're concerned about creating an environment for this game to strive, we need to look at it and say, okay, what can we do to create content that's viral? And how can we continue to bolster whatever game title we choose to be successful? Now, granted, you do have to make those changes. You do have to roll to other games when they come out, especially if they're pushing it. But, not every game is going to be great. Not every game off the store shelf is going to be a huge hit and going to be good for esports. And I think that's something that has to always be considered as well. Black Ops, not Black Ops, but Modern Warfare 2, for instance, what a flop, right? And we stayed with Call of Duty 4, but, it was funny when it came out, and it fractured the gaming. It fractured this community to a point of almost no return, and it took a long time before I think you saw a successful Call of Duty 4 event pop up again. But
right, and that's and perhaps to touch on looking at Counter-Strike as a model. And we're way off a track where we're supposed to be, but this is fine. This is relative. This is good. That this is not so much out in the open, but it's being discussed. Looking at Counter-Strike as a model for a competitive FPS, for example.
Can we not use if we want to use an FPS, I guess we can use Counter-Strike. But if we want to use something better, I always like to use StarCraft just because it's killing everything
I understand. Right now. Yeah, I absolutely understand that. This was specifically pertaining to an FPS, though, in terms of when we look. And you're absolutely right. StarCraft 2 is the essence of what esports is, on the planet right now. StarCraft 2 is ridiculous, money-wise, sponsorship-wise, player-wise. The community itself is so awesomely self-sustaining and efficient. It's just it's incredible. It's a wonder. But if we look at FPS, because we're talking Black Ops here. If we look at an FPS game that is wildly successful, we look at Counter-Strike. And holding ourselves to the standard of Counter-Strike is nearly impossible. Because we are joined by a new game every single year. Now, what's going on across the pond in Europe is I don't know. I don't even know. I don't have words to describe how awesome it is that they have the ability to get their community together and decide, no, we're staying at Call of Duty 4. They have enough control. They have enough leadership. They have enough respect from leaders in the community and all that kind of thing to make that decision. And again, comparing North America to Europe in esports is another thing where it's just you can't compare it. It's a completely different environment. Counter-Strike is a completely different monster in what it is, and in the sense that it's had, like 12 years to grow to where it is. I mean, sure, you went from 1.6 to CS and all that kind of things, but we see the monotony of a new game coming out every single year, bringing in new people, forcing old people out, hardware updates, all that kind of thing. So, I mean, I don't know that we can ever expect. I think the expectation has always been there to, why aren't we successful like Counter-Strike? Why don't we have the competitiveness? Why don't we have the money that Counter-Strike gets? And the answer is, I don't think we ever will. Frankly, just because of the nature of the game that we're playing in Call of Duty, and I feel bad even saying that, but you're looking at a game that, we're guaranteed new blood every year in a different game. We're guaranteed a new game every year, and as time goes on, those games become less and less PC friendly and more console ports. So it's perhaps a narrowing of the roads here. Perhaps the sweet end is coming here. I don't want to be overly dramatic, but it's something that perhaps we're facing an inevitable end here, and comparing ourselves to these games that are stupendously successful for multiple years. The COD series is the best-selling series of all time as far as an FPS goes. I mean, period. I mean, it's fantastic, but that's not PC. And best-selling doesn't have anything to do with competitiveness. So, Ted, did you want to touch on anything?
I think Charlie could hit on this better than I could.
Oh. And this is something I'm going to say. I just want you to, listen to what I'm saying now, and you can think I'm absolutely crazy, okay? But in 2 years from now, let's revisit where we stand, and let's see if I'm right. I'm not always a great prognosticator, but this is what I see. If you look at the trending that's happening right now in the entertainment industry, okay, and you're look at your home entertainment systems, whether it be Xbox or PlayStation, or whether it be a PC and the graphics cards that you're putting into your PCs, and this drive for 3D TV and 3D graphics cards. And if you look at the content providers that are out there, Google, Verizon, these partnerships that are happening, Netflix, I foresee, and I say this honestly, I foresee in 2 years' time, maybe a little bit longer, but I think that you're going to start seeing the fruition of PC gamers playing against console gamers in virtual environments, in cloud-based solutions. So the games aren't physically installed on your game, and you can play against one another in any medium. And it only makes sense if you look at the way that the games are being developed right now. And with that being said, I think that's going to change the face of how we do everything in a couple of years. And I think that's something that, when many of us play, we play for the now. And I think that when you look at the bigger picture in the future, it could be very interesting.
That's Charlie, we're going to have you back on the show here very soon. So that's a topic that I would really like to get into there. Ted, your light's flickering. I want to remind everybody here. We wanted to keep this to about 30 minutes. We're running over an hour now. So, Ted, do you have anything you want to say real quick before we run down some final things here and perhaps get underway?
Actually lagging a bit. That's why I was flickering my mic to try and unlag. But yeah, I mean, I would agree with Charlie. And then the one thing I think that we've seen definitely over the past, year or so, and I've blogged about this, and there's other people who have talked about this, is what we call the watchability of the games. StarCraft, Counter-Strike, these games and others that have really hit off are extremely easy to watch. They're extremely fun to watch. There are people who literally do nothing but watch, StarCraft matches. They don't play the game competitively, and I'm one of them. I watch GSL stuff. That's the top StarCraft league in the world in Korea right now. And I don't play that game competitively, but I watch it because it's just so much fun to watch. And when we get platforms and more games that are more fun to watch is when our communities will grow. And then kind of piggybacking on that is when you also have the developers. We talk about, Charlie mentioned how the developers, there is a stock at the end of the day. They need to turn profits. But when you look at a lot of the games who are succeeding in esports right now, they do have developer support. Yes, they make the money. Yes, they do it. but they also have developer support. StarCraft has Blizzard, Counter-Strike had Valve, back when it was getting iterative, going through its various stages. Even League of Legends and Han, while their watchability may not be as much, Riot and S2 certainly care about the esports scene. So, I think watchability and developer support are going to be big things for future titles in esports.
Yep. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head there, Ted. That is the single biggest key to an esports successful title is developer support. If you don't see it, then you're, normally 9 out of 10 times we run into what we have with Call of Duty, which is develop and push, develop and push, develop and push.
And they're doing fantastic. if we can all give Infinity War and Jack a round of applause, they're making tons of money. So round of applause to the stockholders. They're doing what they do best, and they're achieving their goal, and their goal is not ours. So, and what we've touched on here tonight, we need to sort of accept that. So, I really feel like this roundtable turned into less of a point-to-point talking and more of a therapeutic session here for everybody to come to terms with perhaps how things are. But no, I kid. We have a few more things here, and we're going to go real fast here, guys. What are any of you guys' thoughts on the new patch and also the downloadable content for maps? I have not bought it. Do any of you guys even know anybody that's bought it, or any thoughts on the patch here?
I have not played on the patch, and even if I did, it probably wouldn't have. I haven't even seen the patch notes on it.
Are you talking the nicotine patch?
No, the.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. I mean, just like Charlie said, there was a patch released. I mean, I don't really know of anyone who saw any major change. And if there was a major change, I think I would have seen it on the forums. There wasn't even a thread on the forums, on the COD source forums about this patch. So I think that says a lot about that.
The only real good thing that came out of it for me as an admin is I can watch demos that happened before the patch now.
That's I heard it's mainly a pub-friendly patch.
That was sort of the gist I got from it. I feel like the whole downloadable content thing is something that PC gamers are going to fight until the bitter end. But that's something that we were introduced to with the COD series through Modern Warfare 2, and here we are with the next game and it's being released. So, PC gamers have always gotten stuff for free. We've always been able to make our own content, and again, we come back to, if they control the mod tools, they control the amount of maps that they make, and we have to pay for them and all that kind of stuff, and they make more money. But I think I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. We had a few more points I wanted to get to, but we got to cut this together, but we'll be a little bit over an hour. I do want to remind everybody we got some new stuff going on here at e-rev TV. Make sure you guys check out shameless plug here from me, the green screen. We'll be live on the Alienware Arena pre-show, which is live on our site now. You guys could check that out in our archive, as well as my weekly show is going to be Flavor of the Week Gamer. The pilot episode is out, and you guys can check out the next episode here in about 2 or 3 days. I'll post week number 2. So, also check out our StarCraft 2, check out Han, check out League of Legends, check out Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead, you got to be kidding me! The numbers we're getting from Left 4 Dead, it's insane. There are so many people that still play that game. It's crazy. Also. And don't worry, Ian. I see your X-Fire. We will get to the plugs here. You guys will get your chance to get your plugs out there. As always, real quick, Crawler, if you still have the e-rev forums queued up, go ahead and we'll give everybody a peek at that. Again, I know I made you guys a promise on when that was going to launch and all that kind of stuff, and nobody feels worse about that than me. But again, we had an explosion in our numbers over the last few months with League of Legends and Hans and StarCraft 2, and we really focused our beings on other projects there. But e-rev on the way underway. You guys can see the forums there, and got the Facebook Connect, all that kind of stuff going there. So back to our panelists here. Again, I want to thank everybody for stopping by. And this is the portion of the show where we get to let everybody get their plugs out there, your upcoming projects, your websites, who you're working for, all that kind of stuff. If you guys, Ted, I think, has talked about the Red Sox, several times on the show.
What?
The Phillies. I'm sorry. The Phillies. As I've probably just made a mortal enemy in Ted. I totally mistook his team there. So, Ted, as you're fuming at me now, Ted, you got any shout outs or plugs for any of the stuff you're doing right now?
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I guess to start with, we'll start with the Phillies. They're going to own everyone and play the Red Sox in the World Series, so that'll be fun. Just check out Bravo 6 TV, the show I do with Ian weekly. We are hopefully going to finalize a set date and time for that. So once that goes, will be awesome. You can check that out at bravo6tv.blip.tv is our archives, or just follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/bravo6tv. And the episode that we just streamed on Monday should be up tomorrow. I'll post around the internets when that's up. And Pound Banff Gaming.
All right. Let's see here. Ibex, what do you got going?
I've got nothing, actually.
All right. Let's see here.
I'm a dull guy.
I'll say something for Ibex here. Check out the Brink section on the forums over at e-rev.tv and all that kind of stuff. We've got some stuff out there for you guys to check out as far as Brink is concerned, as that is always a hot topic, evidently, in the COD series. So Ibex doing a lot of things with that. So
actually, yeah, I do have one thing, if I can get in real quick. Just got a huge high-profile interview coming up soon, so it's confidential right now, but in about the next month or two, it'll be out there. So.
Oh, yes. That's also true. He's not messing around. That's a big interview. I know the details on that. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. That's going to be a big deal. Some controversy there in the esports world, and through some connections, Zach's actually gotten a really awesome interview. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I'll keep mentioning that. Thanks, Ibex. I totally forgot about that, but that's going to be awesome. Plit, the mic is yours, sir.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, just thanks to a shout out to all of the young men and women that work very hard for CEVO. Without them, I know that our success as a company would definitely not be there. And a shout out to all those that support all of our efforts. We're happy and very proud to be able to put on a continued stream of events for you for the last 8 years, and look forward to doing it for many more.
All right, and again, Plit, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. I want to grab you after the show. I want to talk shows with you. I would love to get something going here.
Yeah, no problem.
And last but not least, Mr. CEVO Tannehill here, as I called him, Mr. Banff Tannehill at the beginning here. So, Tannehill, what do you got, man?
Oh, I got to change it up now. See, now I got to rep Banff because you just called me CEVO. So, shout out, I guess, to all of you guys for having us on. I always appreciate coming on, getting to voice my opinion. I would encourage everyone to check out cevo.com. Check out not just our signups for COD Black Ops, but we have a lot of interesting things going on, which I'm sure if you ask Charlie, he'll be more than happy to tell you about them. So check out cevo.com, alienwarearena.com, and I guess Pound Banff Gaming.
All right, and check out the Banff domains, which I'm sorry, Ian, I can't say those on air. So you have an awesome distinction of being one of only two teams that I can't say their domain name on air. So I can't say BanffNation.com. I could say that one. The other two.
You can't say the other one. What if I get Connor to say? He's got a history.
Oh, I don't think very many viewers actually remember that. I think you and I are in the old school to remember Connor Parker's mishaps there. So that's going to be the show for tonight, guys. I want to thank all the panelists for stopping by and taking the time out of their night, and also my video guy for the night, Crawler. Mr. Nightcrawler there is going to be the guy doing the video for tonight. So, Crawler, thanks for hanging out, man. And everybody give a big round of applause to our video guy that gave you guys StarCraft 2 in the middle of our cast. So I'm going to get that get that tied together, and we'll start flip day one for no accidents at e-rev TV tomorrow, and we'll start all over again. So that's going to be it for me, guys. Again, make sure you check out the stuff at e-rev TV, all the shows, all the casts. Check out Twiz Time. Twiz is doing amazing stuff at e-rev TV. That dude is a way better shoutcaster than me, and he has all kinds of crazy numbers coming into our site. So check out Twiz and all the stuff he's doing with League of Legends and Left 4 Dead. So that's going to be it, guys. e-rev TV signing off, and we'll try to do this a little bit more often than 2 months. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We are out of here. Peace.